Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Next up on Helping Seniors TV, is assisted living right for you? I'm Kerry Fink with Helping Seniors of Brevard. Welcome to Helping Seniors Television. And on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, this is a program that's designed to inform and help you, as we've been talking about, get your ducks in a row. That's all about getting your aging plan in a row. Because one of the things that we've discovered through 12 years of operating the county Senior Information Helpline, that's that free call to 321-473-7770. That number again, 321-473-7770. We get calls from folks with all types of situations, from housing, transportation, legal, medical, but they're all questions related to an aging plan. And we live here in Florida, so we understand a hurricane plan. Hurricane plan is you don't want the hurricane to come near where you are, but you have an idea of what you want to do in case they tell you it's imminent. And that's the point about your aging plan. We want to talk to people and get wisdom from people who are in that world and they're living it day in, day out. You don't have to go through all these aging things on your own. There's lots of good experts who care about seniors. And so part of what we do with Helping Seniors TV is try to share some of that expertise and some of that information that will help you make your best aging plan, or as we often euphemistically like to say, to help you get your ducks in a row. And today we have one such person with us on Helping Seniors TV. It's none other than our good friend Traci Graf with Avid Home Care. How are you doing today, Traci?
I'm good, Kerry. Thanks.
You know, you've been a friend of the Helping Seniors Network for quite a while. And one of the things that I really enjoy about the team that kind of assembles around Helping Seniors is these are really good people who are extremely knowledgeable in all the aspects of the topics we talk about, but who also share nothing but compassion for the seniors that we run into day in, day out. And you, as a home care, home health agency, you really kind of exemplify that because you're kind of like frontline. You go into people's homes and you help them right where they live.
Yeah, and we love it. I mean, I love it too. I mean, I've done 2 different kinds of home care, with the skilled nursing home care that's paid by Medicare, and then transitioning into this type of what's called non-skilled home care. I like this, I think, a little more for different reasons. It's being able to help a large amount of people with a lot of different resources. Many times I find people who need other resources than just us. And the knowledge that I've gained in being a home care nurse here in Brevard County really helps me be able to either partner with the right resources, but get them the best care that we can get them.
You know, and I was thinking about the title of our show today, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into this. Is assisted living right for you? And this is not really a trick question. It's just a moment to get you to reflect on what makes the most sense, because different people find different things that are going to be most helpful. That's why we call it, you have to make your own aging plan. And so I kind of want to jump in there because people say, well, your home health, you must go into people's homes. Well, obviously, but at the same time, surprisingly, at least surprising to me and maybe people who aren't that close to it, you do a lot of work in assisted living facilities as well.
We do. I do think that's surprising to people. It was surprising to me, actually, when I started in non-skilled home care. And it tends to be people who are living in places that cannot provide them with 24/7 care, 24/7 hands-on care. Someone who maybe has advanced dementia that really cannot even navigate through the normal daily activities of things, get dressed, get bathed, go to the bathroom. People who need help transfers, people who are wheelchair bound and need help transferring. Many times those people are required to have continuous home health care or home health aides with them despite living in an assisted living facility.
See, I think that's one of the things that's going to be important about what we get to talk about today. So my personal observation, because I'm just taking it a little bit from myself, is I think so many of us who don't have experience, maybe we're the adult children of parents who are getting older, we realize mom or dad or aunt or uncle is going to need a little more help, that they can't necessarily manage everything on their own. And so sometimes the immediate question is, well, we just need to find a place that they can get the help that they need. And yet as consumers, we don't really have enough, I guess, background in this to even know how to guide in the right way. Because I think for many of us, our own depiction, we lump these, and it's not a kind term, we lump these in our mind into, quote, the old folks home. And we don't understand there's quite a difference between a skilled nursing care facility and an assisted living facility. And that even when we use certain of these terms, right, they are defined differently based on how that assisted living is licensed and also what their practices are.
Right. Unfortunately, just like everything else in this world, it seems to have become incredibly complicated and confusing to navigate. There are some of these nonprofit places that are around that can help people find an appropriate assisted living facility of some type. I would suggest talking to them versus talking to maybe marketing people in different assisted livings. Because let's face it, they're going to paint the best picture that they can paint to try to get the business. I mean, it is what it is. But some of the things that I've learned just in the last 3 years, where we are going in and out of them and we are seeing people in these facilities, I've definitely learned that there are some important questions that people should be asking before they make that commitment. And some of them can really be life-altering. If they have made the wrong decision. We've had several clients recently who did trials at some assisted livings and decided that it wasn't right for them. They just didn't like there were some parts of it they liked, but there were a lot of parts of it that they didn't like. Loss of independence, even though they could come and go as they pleased. I mean, meals were at a certain time, meds are at a certain time. So things are restricted to some extent, and some people are very funny about those things. They're very particular about what time they eat dinner, what time they eat breakfast, what time they take their medications, and we don't think about putting an elderly person into one of these places that not only is their entire environment about to change, but all of those things may change too.
Right. And then there's another question that I think kind of begs, because I think maybe the surprise headline in this episode is, wow, you're a home health care agency and you find yourself also doing work in assisted living, which I would think the novice who's trying to sort this out and help a relative would think, well, I'm trying to get them into an assisted living so they can get the assisted that they need in their living.
I don't know. I mean, I think the places do the best that they can, and obviously some places are better staffed than others, but it's not a secret that all of us are having staffing issues in the medical field everywhere, but definitely here. I mean, one of the reasons that we were seeing a client for a long time in one of the skilled nursing facilities, which is, again, a place where you would think that they would have all the care they need. It's basically people who need a higher level of care, have come out of the hospital, aren't ready to go home yet. We were going to one because the client, the one aide that was on night shift had 15 patients.
Wow.
So that included our client, who was rather squirrely and liked to get out of bed and hurt herself. So the only option was to hire us to come and be with her overnight. We've done it for people who are afraid to be in the place overnight. Many times fall risks. We're called a lot of times for fall risks. And many times it's for the overnight shift because staffing is lower and they have more people, and some people, depending upon what's wrong with them, especially some types of dementia, people are quite active at night.
Yeah. You know, one of the things our president and founder, Joe Steckler, has talked about is as you do an aging plan, he's talked a lot about the need, he calls them elements of care. And by that, what he refers to is what you need to manage your current situation today, which may be less or more depending on what you're going through tomorrow. And it just depends. You know, we may have just come out of a hospital, so now we need, for some period of time, we need a little more help as we get back on our feet. Or sometimes it could be going the other way because of some chronic condition that's progressing. We may have been able to start out here, but now we need more help. And I think one of the things that I really wanted to kind of dive into with you as we're talking about this whole thing is Joe's point about talking about elements of care is not having someone spend more money than they need to at any particular stage. And one of the things that I kind of gather is, I think from many people, if you ask them, wouldn't you say the vast majority of people say, I really want to age in place?
I think a huge majority would say yes, they want to stay home.
Yeah, because
as long as they can.
They would argue, hey, I raised my kids here, this is home, I know where everything is. Yes, maybe that particular appliance doesn't work right, but I know how to work around it. You have to have this feeling. You talked about the freedom, right? You know, somebody doesn't want to have dinner in set hours or things like that.
Doesn't want to get up for breakfast time, and so if they don't get up at the, you know, then a lot of times there is no breakfast if they don't get up.
Right.
So at home they can have breakfast whenever they want.
Right, and then there's also a feeling like I'm familiar, I'm comfortable with this place. So, but when you think about that, I think most people, when we don't know better, we immediately gravitate toward the idea, well, I feel more secure putting my loved one into assisted living rather than being concerned, are they going to be okay at home? And yet what I do understand is that when we start looking at apples to apples, and I'm talking about basic bottom line when we look in the checkbook, right? It could be more effective for somebody to be able to stay at home.
Oh, definitely. And I'm not trying to, you know, sell Avid, but we do things differently. I mean, you're aware of that. You've worked with me now for several years, but I mean, I joke with clients and say, I can make your money go farther than anybody. And the reason is we are very flexible. So like, as you're talking about how people need different levels of care, you know, and the other way, the other agencies function, you know, doing 3 and 4 hour minimums, and I'm not aware how flexible they are with clients, but I want our clients to know when we talk to somebody about services that we are very flexible. You know, a great example is people will contact us coming out of the hospital or coming out of rehab. Well, they may be pretty weak at that point and may need us to be there for 12-hour days or 12-hour overnights or 24/7 for a few weeks. But the goal is then skilled nursing partners and starts to work with the patient at home, and they start to get stronger and they start to need us less. We are very flexible. I mean, it's almost crazy sometimes, because I mean, we will let people drop down to an hour twice a day, an hour once a day, you know, only call us if you need us. But I really have only encountered a couple people who had unlimited funds to take care of themselves till the very end of their life. And so I respect that most of us are gonna struggle with that cost to some degree. And, you know, I think being flexible with people, I mean, I like to say to everybody, I take everyone on like a long-term commitment. You know, so now we're kind of like a team, and I'm part of your aging plan. Because, you know, we can be flexible, we can change services. I tell people the services are your services. You tell us what you want to do with them. And we will at least try to make it happen. We can't always but we will try to make it happen. And, you know, I think by being flexible that way, I mean, there are times where, you know, we've been there for weeks and all of a sudden the client feels like, I've recovered, I'm strong enough that I don't need your help right now. That's fine. We'll put services on hold. And I know that sometime in the future, when they need help again, they're going to call us.
Right.
And then we're just going to restart services again. It's very simple and very low maintenance.
What I like about what you're talking about is that you're able to kind of match to the situation, because again, Joe's always talked about it, the aging plan is one of the reasons why it has to be your aging plan, is because your circumstances are unique. The things that you're going through, or the things that you have to, the challenges that you have to overcome may be different than the next person. And so by finding an efficient way to do this. So number one, I think a lot of people, given a choice, prefer to age in place for all the comfort reasons and all that. But number two, I think if they're talking to somebody like you at Avid Healthcare, well, first of all, you bring your career experience as a registered nurse, so you're able to really kind of survey the situation and make recommendations that are probably very helpful to a family trying to figure out, well, what's the best way to navigate this?
Right. I literally walked into a new client's house last week, and boy, they've been struggling for a while. And that's a lot of cases, they've been struggling for a while, trying to do it the best they can. And I was fortunate enough to be there. The wife kept joking and saying, God works in mysterious ways. I'm like, not with me. He works exactly the way. So I was late today for a reason, obviously, because I walked in and she says, oh, it's okay that you're late, but we're about to do a FaceTime visit with our primary care doctor. And I'm like, really? What a perfect opportunity. So after, I tried to sort of get to the meat of the problem quickly, because I knew the doctor was going to be calling. And I wanted to be prepared for what maybe I could add to the and what ended up being is we asked for hospice. And I said, I'm not saying that I think, his end of life is coming anytime soon. That's not what I mean. I'm saying that I think it's the more appropriate service for him right now versus skilled nursing home care, where he's not really going to improve, and they have set limits that they have to set goals and meet goals, and he's not going to do that. So he's going to get nothing from the services, and they're going to run out, and that's going to be the end of it. Right. Versus hospice or palliative care even had a lot of positive that they could bring to the picture: equipment, working like a team, quick responses, nursing support, things like that, social work support. But that couple was very clear when I walked in the door: we don't want to leave our home ever, until we go out in a stretcher.
Well, and that's part of the point too, is it seems like you're very adaptable, because we already talked about this, right? You do provide services to folks in assisted living. You're able to coordinate and work together with hospice or palliative care. And then you're also there just when I would say you're just flying solo, right? You're just helping mom or dad. And I guess that must be a nice feeling for a family to know that there's a trusted resource that they can call and say, well, this just happened now, where are we in this?
And I'll tell you, recently, through some other recent client experiences that have been difficult, I have started basically becoming more involved as an RN. I mean, in skilled nursing, we call it case management. It's kind of trying to make sure that the client stays out of the hospital, trying to make sure that the client and the family and the caregivers understand what's wrong with the client, what we can do to keep them out of the hospital specifically based on what's wrong with them. So I've taken it up another level recently, because I think that it not only benefits the client to stay out of the hospital, but it benefits us to keep them out of the hospital as well, to keep them as healthy as they can be. The first year it was a little hard. I mean, I sit back and watch things that are confusing and convoluted, and I think, oh my goodness, if they only would get this medication right, or if the doctor only understood what was happening, that we might be able to improve the situation. Now I'm actually putting myself in the middle of that situation with the permission from the family and getting involved. So I actually ended up being part of the FaceTime visit with the doctor. I mean, they turned the phone around. He's like, but it was a good experience, and it was good because, we were able to very clearly communicate to him what I thought they needed. He agreed completely. instead of it being me trying to tell the wife, trying to tell the doctor, and I said to the doctor, I don't know if he has any qualifying diagnoses, and he says, I think I can find one. Yeah. So it was a good communication, but it was all about getting them more resources that they needed other than just us.
Yeah, and I think that's where the benefit of having, we talked about at the outset of the show, that's the benefit of having the wisdom of experience, because this may be, very often it is, the first time that we're stepping through one of these scenarios or cases or new developments, but it's certainly not the first time you've witnessed it, and some ways to move and to work effectively within that.
Yeah, I think, people are constantly confused about the different kinds of home care even that are out there. Mm-hmm. They think that our kind of home care is paid for by insurance, which it is not. They think that the Medicare agencies provide the services that we provide, which they do not. So there's even still, and I write articles about that subject constantly, and it still is very confusing to people. I wrote the article recently about the differences in home care and weighing the risk benefit for, again, just making decisions. What are your options and how to make the right decisions? Because having someone in your home all the time, depending upon what's wrong with you, could be a dangerous thing if you have not really done your homework.
I was thinking about that because a good friend of Helping Seniors, who is actually one of the top executives at one of the top assisted livings in our area, he made this comment himself. He said that it's so important for a family to decide what is in the best interest of the senior, and he actually oftentimes sends them home with a homework assignment, because the question, he said, the question is, at what point and when do you need to think about this extra help? And I think one of the things that we don't do often enough is ask people who have experience to make that decision, because most of us say, hey, I'd rather be at home. And the nice thing is, from what you've explained, is you're able to look at the whole situation. And I'm sure there's been times you said, look, maybe assisted living is going to be the right avenue for this case. We can help there too, but here's some questions that we want to ask before we get you into that, or maybe we want to do a trial. These are things most of us don't know. The same person, the same executive said, people will spend a lot of time researching a car. I want this car, I want these kind of options, I want these kind of things, and they'll spend a lot of time, they'll test drive a lot of cars. But too often when it comes to choosing, something like an assisted living, it's like we don't even know the right questions to ask.
Or a caregiver. They'll hire somebody off Craigslist.
Yeah.
Or their neighbors, sisters, cousins, friend. They're trustworthy, and no, you don't know.
You got to deal with somebody who's got not only the knowledge, the credibility, the experience, but also carries the correct licensing, because I can tell you we've done so many stories about fraud and things like that, and how all these things happen. But I want to get somebody moving in a right direction, Traci. If they want to get some information, just maybe explore. You say, maybe we've been thinking we're going to send mom or dad to an assisted living, but they keep fighting me. They say they want to stay at home. You would be a great call.
Yeah, because I know that there is definitely a perception out there that people are just I'm just going to make them. I'm just going to make them go. And I am definitely one to tell you, no, you're not. You're not going to make them go anywhere. They're going to go and do what they want to do. And I say to patients who are very reluctant or obstinate about changing what they're doing, I say everything is all great and good until you get hurt or something happens, and either the firemen are here or skilled nursing starts coming in, and then people start asking questions about what you're doing, especially if it's not safe.
Yeah.
So, many times when I meet with families, I encourage there to be, adult kids there if they want to be there. If the client doesn't want the adult kids there then that's fine. I will respect whatever they want to do. But I will also tell them what I think. So say, you meet me and I come in, the place is a wreck, your legs are swollen, you know, you're eating fast food every day, and you're like, I want an hour in the morning for a shower 3 times a week. And I say, well, but Kerry, can we try to think about maybe incorporating some other things in helping you? You know, like maybe cooking some fresh meals. Maybe we could cook them and prepare them ahead of time and put them in the fridge. You could heat them up. Maybe help you put on some compression hose in the morning or something. I mean, I'm not going to really sugarcoat it, especially if I think it's a safety issue.
Right.
If I think it's a safety issue, I'm going to come right out and say it.
Well, let's talk about this. If somebody wants to get in touch with Avid Home Care and maybe just kind of get some wisdom and some information and try to get some ideas what's next on the path, how do they reach you?
You can call us.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest assets they get when they do that is that you get involved in all the intake, right? You're going to actually understand what's going on.
Yeah, I do all of my own client admissions. And even though we have continued to grow, I have kept that commitment. It's
good.
For me, it's the part of home care that I like the most. And now I don't have to do 18-page Medicare documents.
You can look
for
out
every visit.
You can look out for the client.
Check off 1,000 boxes. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely, I get more personal satisfaction out of it. So I enjoy doing that. I enjoy having that one-on-one connection with our clients and their children as well. We encourage them to reach out to us if they're living out of state and they have concerns. Reach out to us. You know, we're always here to talk to them and help however we can. I mean, I joke all the time, but I am a nurse first.
That's good.
And a business person second.
Traci Graf with Avid Home Care. We are so grateful for you to be here today, and we look forward to seeing you next on Helping Seniors TV.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniors.brevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.